Welcome to Christchurch, November Zulu Charlie Hotel. We're in the PMDG 737-600 Air New Zealand. We'll be flying into Queenstown, November Zulu, Quebec, November. And it's a shorter route than Auckland, and so we'll be climbing to about flight level 260, something like that. We'll see what the FMC tells us. So let's start with the route, as we always do. So this is about 180 to 200 miles, something like that. Now, the weather today in New Zealand is absolutely atrocious. So I've got scattered clouds set manually with a light northeasterly wind, because otherwise it really would be in the soup right from the very off. So anyway, so we're going to take off from New Zealand, Christchurch, on runway 02, and we're going to be following the Muck Victor 1 Papa. So it's initially to the northeast, then a left turn, back round past the airport, and then a right turn onwards to the southwest to waypoint GUPUT, or whatever you pronounce it, and then it's just a straight line all the way through to ELRUV, which is where we picked up the approach when we flew in from Auckland. Okay, so this is the ELRUV 2 Alpha arrival, and we'll look at these. We'll do an approach briefing en route, but we're just doing a quick overview now. That takes us anyway to Ibabu, and then we'll do the RNAV 05 into Queenstown. Okay, and that's the general picture of the top-down picture of the approach. And there's lots of waypoints, so we're just going to check those, but we'll do it en route just to save a little bit of time. So for the moment, back up here to Christchurch, let's look at the departure. So it's the Muck Vo 1 Victor to GUPUT here. So take off from 02, climb to 2,000 feet or above, then left turn, Isgan, Damru, at or above 5,000, will easily be above 5,000 by then, down to Muck Vu, and then it's a right turn to GUPUT. So all fairly straightforward, but we just need to be aware of these constraints at or above. Okay, so let's get into the aircraft. Before we do that, let's look at the sim brief, and sim brief today is telling me block fuel 5,173 and zero fuel weight, estimated zero fuel weight 46.7. So okay, let's get into the aircraft. Oh, something is squawking at me. That's the throttles. Okay, so let's get the APU running. So fuel pump can come on, APU can go on. While that's firing up, we'll just get the cockpit lighting set up the way I like it. And even though it's scattered clouds, it's still quite murky, which I don't mind. We'll see what happens when we get to Queenstown. Put a bit of flood lighting on the panels, and then we'll do the pedestal down here. Okay, and let's see how the APU's faring. So it's still powering up. Okay, let's go to hectopascals. On the barometric pressure, we'll just press the magic B button. 1022 is the QNH. And what we can do, just to save a bit of time, FS actions, fuel, and I'll just refer to the sim brief quickly. I'll put this on the other screen and I'll refer to it and bring it back as and when we need it. So for now, I've got to set some things up in the MCDU, so just give me a moment to do this. Aircraft displays, I want to go to kilograms, press return. Equipment, let's see what we've got. So we've got the, and I want to put the old style instruments on. Heads up display, yes, even though I never use it. Performance improvement package, short field, yes. Auto probe heat, no. Brake could be carbon. And we don't want the LED lights on like the old fashioned ones, and the eyelets, the eyebrow windows. And I think window shades, yes. I think that's it now. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we're all set up there. Go back to menu, back to FS Actions, back to fuel. So we've got 5,173. 173. We could round it up or down. 5173. Then we go to payload, and the estimated fuel zero fuel weight was 46.7. 46.7. That can go into there. Then we go to the menu, FMC, POS in it, but we're in the turnaround state, so the IRS is already aligned. Go straight to the route, and I haven't downloaded the flight plan. We're going to enter it manually today. So November Zulu Charlie Hotel is the origin. November Zulu Quebec November is the destination, and I'm just looking for the flight plan. Give me a moment. Where is it? There it is. Okay, and we are ANZ995. That can go into flight number. So the first waypoint is GUPUT. So we go GUPUT. Oops. There we go. And then we want the Yankee 266. Yankee 266. I can go there. And then we've got the ELRUV. ALRUV. Go there. And then we can activate and execute. Then we can do the departure and arrivals. So the departure 02, and we want the Mach 1 Papa to GUPUT. There we go. That's all set. Back to index, back to arrivals for Queenstown, ELRUV 2 Alpha, and we want the RNAV 05. I think it was Yankee. We can check that. Let's get the here we go. So it's the Zulu, RNAV Zulu 05 at transitioning Ibabu. Okay, so RNAV Zulu. So erase that. And so RNAV Zulu 05 Ibabu. There we go. Execute. And we'll just scroll through the list to make sure there's no discontinuities. That all looks good to me. Okay, so back to legs page. Back to init ref. Then we do zero fuel rate twice. Reserves, according to SimBrief, are 900, so we do 0.9. Cost index, I use my lofty 55, telling us that the flight level, the max flight level is 359. Okay, so we'll go, we don't want to go that high to be honest with you, but we'll go 280 I think today. We don't need to go very high. 280. The transition altitude, and we'll just bring the Navigraph back in, is 30. Again, 13,000 as shown at the top of the Jepson chart. So we dial in 13,000. Let them go there. Press execute. Of course, now we want the takeoff performance, so we'll get Utopia running. We select the PMDG 600. We do it from Christchurch. Now, 02 is the runway we want, but because we're not using real weather, we need to put in our data. So I'm just going to get the screen so I can see what the temperature is, and that's 15. QNH is 1022, and the wind was northeasterly at, I think I set it at about 5, so we'll do 050 at 5, and the takeoff weight today is, let's just go down here, gross weight 52,000, type in 52, and let's get the, there we go. So it's telling us flap 5, 70 degrees for the assumed temperature. We're quite lightly loaded. So N1 limit 70. Going to go to climb 2 just to get a bit more performance. Flap 5, C of G 4.8 on the trim. So just move the trim wheel back to about 4.8. That looks good to me. And then we get our V speeds in. And 125 is our V2, so we're going to put 135 into our CP panel. We're on runway 02, so we're going to put 020. In fact, let's put the right QDM in, the right heading. So let's bring Navigraph charts back. We'll go to the airport page, Christchurch, runways, 02, the initial bearing is 016. Put 016 into our heading. There we go. And if you remember, we did have some constraints. The first one's above 2,000, next one was above 5,000. So we're just going to dial in 5,000 as the initial altitude, but we'll probably go straight past that. Let's set up the screens the way I like them. So get all the engine instruments on there and the hydraulics and controls there. On the second FMC, we'll put the progress page, because of course that shows us all about fuel and ETAs and timings and top of climbs, top of descents. Okay, then we get our, oops, don't know what happened there. We'll get our transponder. I got the parking brake set, that's why. Okay, so we'll get the transponder running. So I'll put my squawk code in 2526. Put it onto no altitude reporting. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready now to get the aircraft configured for a pushback. We've got our range rings sorted out, and we've got the APU running, so we can switch off the ground power, get the APU generator online, put the APU bleed on. We need to set the pressurization panel, and we're going to go up to, I think it was 28 we said. Let's have a look. Let's go to legs page. 28,000. Okay, so we'll go 28,000. Oh no, I'm doing it up here. 28. And Queenstown, if I just bring Navigraph charts back in. Go to airports, Queenstown, general tab, elevation 1171. I think we put 1200 in. The aircraft will be depressurized when the wheels hit the ground. Okay, so 1200. There we go. Now we want to get the window heat, because it takes a short while in the 737. So we're all good there. Passenger signs are on. We can get our fuel pumps running, and yeah, it's quite cloudy still. Get rid of the master caution. Now the jetway is attached, so let's get the ground services off. So of course let's get the parking brake on first of all. Parking brake is on. Go to the menu. Go to FS Actions, Ground Services, Wheel Chocks removed. Let's see if that gets rid of the jetway. No, it doesn't. Okay, well that's fine. Don't mind that. So we'll do pushback, and on the pushback helper we've got a tab here for aircraft, and that also does ground services. So we can detach the jetway. I think it's there. It is there. It's going. Now we can pre-plan our pushback. Okay. Okay, so which way do we want to push back? Which one way? That's 02 there, so we want to go tail left, nose to the right. Lost that. Okay, now we can request a pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
So, our flight director, that's a bit strange. The flight director seems to be on. Don't think we actually put them on there, do we? Put them on now.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
Okay, so ground equipment's removed.
We are cleared for start
We
and
can
push.
put our hydraulics on.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes can come off.
Parking brakes are
Beacon
released.
light can come on.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
So we just
You
switch
will start in the sequence.
the left pack off. And now we can start. We'll start number 2 first. We just hit spool up. Looking for 24. So let's have a look. So M2 rotations we have. Oil pressure is registering. 24 we have. Fuel's coming on. And fuel flow we've got. EGT is rising. We've got light up. And the big fan is turning. Oil pressure coming up. Oil temperature coming up. So it looks like a good start number 2. Wait for the start valve to close and we can start number 1. And we've got other traffic. We are not alone. I don't know why he's sitting 20 feet up in the air though. Okay, so that start valve should close any second. There we go. And now we can start number 1. And number 1, start valve is open. N2 is winding up. Oil pressure is registering. And we're looking for 24. We have. So now we've got fuel flow. EGT's rise. We have light up. The big fan is turning. Pressure, oil pressure and oil temperature are on the up as well.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake's coming on. There you go.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Okay, so we finished with the ground surfaces. We can go back to legs page.
Ground. Startup is complete. You may disconnect.
Roger.
And number 1 is nearly
Cleared to disconnect.
running.
At the side. Have a good flight.
the start valve
Holding
is
position waiting for the visual. Thank you.
closed. So what we can do now is get the generators online. The APU can come off. APU bleed can come off. Isolation valve can go to auto. Left pack can come on. Probe heat can come on. Just check for the tug. There goes the tug. We can close down our pushback helper. Okay, now we can get our auto brake set. We can get flap 5 selected. Okay, flap 5 we've got. We can get our transponder to Tara. Traffic avoidance and resolution advisories. Okay, so we're all good. We can get our taxi light on. We can put our ignition continuous. And I think we're ready for taxi, so let's get going. Right, brake off, just bring the throttles up a little bit. Let the aircraft unstick from the tarmac. Okay. Okay, so let's do a quick reminder of the departure. So it's takeoff from 02, heading 001 to start with to Overland, at or above 2,000 feet, left turn Iscan, max 210 on the speed, then down to Damru, at or above 5,000, onwards to Mukvu, and then right turn to GUPUT. Okay, so let's just have a look here. So a couple of important bits of information in that. I'm just going to take this off the screen quickly. So max speed was 210. And the initial heading is 001. So let's get 001 dialed in. 001. Right, I'm going to cross this runway. Put our strobe light on. Clear on the right. Clear on the left. Okay. Okay, we're clear of the runway, so we switch off the strobe light. Okay, so 001 on the heading. It's 210 max on the speed, and we've got at or above 5,000 dialed in, and I think we'll be well above 5,000 by that point anyway. Okay. So because we've got speed restriction, we're going to climb on level change, flight level change. Okay, you can do it on VNAV and it'd be fine, but to make sure that the speed restrictions are adhered to, because VNAV should if they're in the FMC, and you can see here 210 is there. Okay, you could do it quite happily on VNAV, but we're going to do it today on flight level change. So you've got an aircraft ahead of us at the hold. I don't see any traffic coming in, so I'm not quite sure if he's waiting for anything in particular. I might need to taxi. I'm not going to say through him, we could go under him, I think. And what are you doing? Okay, he's moving forward. So flight level change will climb on the speed we have dialed into this window. So we will dial in 210. The aircraft will be cleaned up. flight level change 210 on here, and ELRUV will allow us to follow the lateral navigation. Okay, we can blip the throttles very quickly. No warning horn. So we're correctly configured for takeoff. Okay, let's wait for this chap to go. Maybe there's something outside that we're not seeing. Let's have a look. No. Another aircraft taxiing up behind us. Oh, maybe he's on his way now. Okay, so let's get landing lights on. Strobe lights on. Tell the crew. On the left. Oh, there he is. Climbing away. Okie dokie. So, auto throttle can come on. Can't see him on our nav display, so hard to know what distance he's at. We'll just let him climb, let him go past 4,000 and we know we're safe from him. Not climbing very fast. Oh, I think I'm happy with that. So, the lapse timer coming on. Alright. So, spool the engines up. Right, and they're stable. Above 50. Toga coming on. Assume temperature 70.
Airspeed alive.
Maintain the run by centre line.
80 knots.
80 knots, cross check twice.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate. Round we go.
E2. Positive rate of climb.
Gear can come up. Okay, so we want to go into heading mode. We can go autopilot and flight level change. We go LNAV, about 400 feet. Speed the aircraft up a bit now, go 180. Okay, so we can do flaps 2. Now flaps 1. And we can speed up to 210. And as airspeed gets to this point, we can put slats in. Slats are coming in. Okay, so we can do some after takeoff checks. So first of all, switch off the undercarriage. And we can get rid of our nose lights. Water brake can come off. Okay. So we're at 210 on the speed. We're already at 5,000 feet. We'll just stick at 5,000 feet for a second or two. Enjoy the scenery. So it's at 210 until ISCAN, which is here. So we'll stick at 210. And I think we'll stick it to 5,000 until ISCAN, then we'll start our climb to cruise, which is 280. It's like a little pocket rocket, the 600, I love it. Okay, I've got a caution light. Why is that? Something to do with the pressurization. Why? Have I got a problem? Air conditioning. What's wrong? Right. Bleeders on. Packs are on. Ventilation valves. I can't see a problem here. Off schedule descent. Okay, well that's not a problem. For some reason the aircraft decided that we were descending and we're not. Okay, so we're nearly at ISCAN, so we'll start climbing. So let's go up to flight level 280. And what we'll do, because we're now past ISCAN, we'll just go VNAV. Aircraft will initially accelerate to 250 on the speed because we're past the speed restriction. It's just spooling up now. Zoom out on the map a little bit. So we are now, the airport should be just in our 11 o'clock, there it is. Okay, so it's now climbing. So that message has gone because the aircraft is now climbing. Now, full disclosure, I haven't actually flown this approach in the PMDG or in the A3 in the Airbus, so I'll take that on the chin and see what happens. Anyway, we're just coming up to flight level 100. The aircraft will accelerate now to 297, and we can do a bit more climb checks. So continuous ignition can come off, lights can come off, and I'm going to let them out their seat as long as they're well behaved. Okay, above 10,000 we just do a pressurization checks. Aircraft is pressurizing normally, pressurization panel is set correctly, so we're good. So that light only came on because probably the aircraft went above 5,000 feet maybe in a bit of turbulence went up to 5,100, and then of course it has to descend back to 5,000, which is the platform altitude I've dialed in, and that's a descent. So the pressurization panel picks it up and says there's an unscheduled descent going on here, did you know? So really it was advisory, but we needed to check in case there was a problem, and there wasn't. So we're all good. I'm going to zoom out on the nav display just so we can see a bit more information. Okay, and we can change now to standard pressure setting. And I didn't set any thunderstorms or anything today, so it's just clouds. I suppose we could put the... I don't think they've even modelled the weather radar. I don't know if it even says it's on or not. No, it doesn't. Okay. So we're happily climbing. The passengers have been let loose. We're cleaned up. We're pressurising. I think we're all good. So with that in mind, let's have a quick look at the arrival. We'll just close the departure down. So, starts at ELRUV, finishes at Ibabu, ELRUV 2 Alpha. So no constraints here. There is a hold at ECVOX, which we're not going to do, I hope. And then we've got some constraints. They are KASLU between flight levels 160, 170, MABGA above, at or above flight level 1, and let's just check what the transition altitude is. 15,000. Okay, so this is a flight level and these are altitudes. So KASLU between flight level 170 and 160, MABGA altitude 13,000, GOSPA at or above 12,000, Ibabu between 12,000 and 10,000. Okay, now in my time honoured tradition, I'm going to just look at the FMC and plug in those values, because they will be, as we all know, probably at or aboves. Okay, so the first one is KASLU, and it's saying actually at 17,000. I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that alone. Oh no, it's got a minimum and a maximum. Okay, but I'm going to leave that. That's okay. It will be there at the right altitude. MABGA, I'm going to say let's be there at 13,000. GOSPA, I'm going to say let's be there at 12,000. Oops, not 120,000, 12,000. Press execute. Let's go to the next page. So Ibabu, it's got 12,000. And actually the lowest altitude, according to the chart, is, well, Ibabu is between 10 and 12,000. Okay, in fact, there you go. You've got those values here. I'm just going to tell it, let's be at Ibabu at 10,000. Okay. Then we've got the next one is, I'm going to worry about, is QN 573. So I just need to get the approach chart in. Okay. There we go. So we've got QN 577 10,000, 573 9,200, 571 8,200. So I'm going to make these absolute values. Okay. So 573 9,200. Next page. 8,200. $7,100, 6,300, 5,300, 500, and then we're good. Okay, so we've given it some absolute values that will hopefully help us, you know, arrive at a sensible altitude whilst we do the ELRUV approach, because it is a very complex approach in very high terrain. So, and it's quite a steep approach. Not the steepest, it's only 3.2 degrees, so not outrageous. So we want to make sure that our speed is managed and the altitude is managed. If we're too high, we've got to point downhill. If we point downhill, we'll gather too much speed. So, you know, we need to be on the ball with this one here. Okay, so we're just approaching flight level 270. There we are. And cruise checklist. Passenger signs are off. Ignition is off. Pressurization is set. And we've done the approach briefing. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit now on the nav display. We've got 80 miles to go, more or less, until we get to the top of descent. So we're going to use that lovely feature under FS Actions, Auto Cruise, and we're just going to go double time just to eat this up quickly. In fact, we're going to go quadruple time because it's a straight line, so it's not going to cause the aircraft any issues. So we're now flying at warp speed something or other. Whoa, okay, that's very fast. I think we're in Concorde. So we'll just stay at this speed, 4 times speed, until we get, you know, just before top of descent. And we'll just check that we're on VNAV and LNAV. So when we get closer to top of descent, I'll dial in the first altitude, and that will be the end of the arrival, Ibabu, which I've asked it to be at 10,000, if you remember. So that's what I'll dial into the MCP panel here. So Queenstown's got a fairly short runway, so we're going to use auto brake. We'll probably go auto brake 2. 3 might be more sensible, but we can always go manual braking, and we're quite lightly loaded, so I don't think we'll have any issues. I'll stick with 2. So we're now about 60 miles to top of descent. So we're expecting a little bit of turbulence from the winds rolling off the mountains, so I'm going to strap them in shortly after descent. Have an external view. Wow, super fast. I love these old retro liveries. I think they do look good. Okay, so let's get back inside. I'm going to zoom out on the nav display a little bit. So we've now got about 20 to run to the top of descent. To switch off the speed auto cruise function, just press the reset, which is left 4 here. So we're now about 15 to run. I'm going to stop it at about 10, so I've got time to adjust the MCP. So we're about 10 now, so I'm going to press reset. Sim rate has gone down to 1. Back to the legs page. Okay, so let's do 10,000 in the altitude window, which is the altitude Ibabu. and it's given itself a block altitude at the start here at Kaslu between 16 flight level 160 and 170. So VNAV is on, lower altitude selected, the aircraft should start descending momentarily. I'm going to zoom in a bit more, zoom out a bit more. So there we go, we started our descent. Here's a vertical deviation index. It shows whether we're above or below the glide. So we're slightly below at the moment by about 160 feet. I'm sure the PMDG will sort that out. Okay, we started our descent. Let's get auto brake 2 selected. And we're going to strap the passengers in nice and early. Okay, it's all looking good. You see it has corrected already, so we're bang on the profile. We've also got it shown here, this little magenta triangle, same scale as this. Okay, so when we get to the RNAV approach, which starts at Ibabu, we will go to approach mode, and you will see that that will arm on the scoreboard here on the PFD. It will arm final approach course and V path here. They'll first appear in white, and then when they're active they'll go green. So what's in green at the moment is the currently selected modes, LNAV and VNAV. So whenever you make a change on the MCP, you want to make sure that it's registered here. Adjusting this does not mean that it will be automatically shown here, so you want to make sure that whatever you've done is registered and active or armed. Okay, so we're on profile. We're coming up to Kaslu. Should be at Kaslu between flight levels 160 and 170. And we're on VNAV. Remember, we can stay on VNAV but adjust our speed manually by pressing the speed intervention button here, and we can dial in the speed that we want and it will still be on VNAV. Okay, so just give it a little bit of anti-icing on because the airframe will be cold. We're going through cloud, so we'll just be a bit preventative. And again, I'm going to zoom out a little bit on this, or zoom in I should say. Okay, just about below that flight layer. Switch off the anti-icing. Any second. Such an accomplished aircraft this, it's lovely. Absolute delight. That said, I flew the Phoenix the other day and that was just brilliant. A lot better than the fly-by-wire, I have to say. So let's just check. We've got transition level of 13,000. Now transition level, what you can do is go to the descent page, forecast, then to 13,000, or whatever your transition level is. set your arrival change, so it'll flash when you need to swap to the local QNH, which should still be 1022. Remember, this is manual weather that we're flying because the weather in New Zealand is absolutely horrendous. Right, another point of airmanship which I'm failing miserably is to keep the heading bug centered, but then I guess my excuse is that we've been very busy briefing and talking. So let's just keep that heading knob centered. It's good airmanship to do that. Right, so we can switch off the anti-icing, getting a message on the warning systems. There we go. Right, so the icing is off. With a momentary pause. Bit worrying. Look at those mountains. Goodness me, they have done an amazing job with this. It's a thing of beauty. Right, below 13,000, so we get, and we press the magic B button. There we go, 1022. That's added a little bit of altitude, so the aircraft is now pointing downhill a bit more to try and lose the excess altitude that brought us. And we're just approaching 10,000 shortly, so what we're going to do, we're going to go down now to let's have a look. Let's get onto the MCP. We'll go down to 6,300. There we go. Okay, now I want to slow down. The aircraft seems to be very intent on speeding up. Where are we? So it should be at 240 knots. There we go, it's starting to slow down now. I'm going to help it. See, waypoint Avga, it's 276 knots is showing on the FMC. In Barbu, 240, so that's why it's now slowing down. So we just need to be a step ahead of the aircraft. There's the lake down there. The airport is round that corner. Should be down at the end of this valley down here somewhere. Okay, so 10,000 feet. We've got the passengers strapped in. Let's get the landing lights on. Because we won't have time to do it later, I'm going to get the nose lights on as well. 10,000 feet. Continuous ignition on. To force those igniters to do their job. Okay, and the aircraft is still slowing down. Ibabu, we're at 10,000. Okay, and now it's going to stay at 10,000 until this waypoint 577. Okay. It's going to be an exciting roller coaster of an approach. Amazing to do this in the real world. Look at that. Just like the real thing. Incredible. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit more. So when we get past 577, the aircraft will continue going down. Okay, and round we go. Now, what we're going to do with the heading bud, we're going to put the final approach course on, and that is 038. That's shown on the chart here. just maintain careful watch on these waypoints. Just check them against the altitudes that we should be there. Right, approach VREF not selected, quite right. We're going to go flaps 40 today. So our final approach speed is 120, add 5, 125. Okay, so LNAV, VNAV still working fine for us. Okay, back to legs page. I'm not going to adjust things at the moment because the aircraft is quite happy, flying the profile quite nicely. Slowing down might be a bit of an issue. It's got quite a high speed, so it's going to help it with the speed brakes a little bit. So we're just coming around now back over the lake, which is, there it is over there. So when we get around this corner here, we'll be coming back over the lake. Speed brake can come in, and that's when I'm going to put the approach phase. We're a little bit right of track here. I'm not quite sure whether that's a failing of the aircraft. I'm not quite sure why it's right of track. It's nearly half a mile right of track, which is pretty severe actually. Not very good. Anyway, let's get the approach phase active. So approach phase coming on. You'll see here we've got final approach course and glide path. Glide path was white, it's now green. That means it's on the vertical profile of the VNAV approach. Okay. The glide path. Not glide slope, that's an ILS. Glide path for the RNAV. Final approach course. That will become active when we get to Omuru here. So we're just going to lower the MCP a little bit, but because we're on the glide path, we could actually put in our missed approach altitude, which is, I should have had this prepped of course, 10,000. So I should put 10,000 here. Oops, not 20,000. Goodness me, right there. Okay, so I want to slow down a bit now, so I'm just going to bring the speed back manually. Use a lot of spoilers, they're out. Okay, there we go. Slats out. Speed for slats is 250, as it is for flap 1. Flap 1 coming out. And we're going to come down to our ref speed 125. VREF, there we go. What's the flap 5 limiting speed? Let's have a look. Flap 5, 250. So we can go flap 5. Okay, and final approach course will come on now. It's white at the moment. It'll come on when we get to, what was it? I can't remember what I called it. Amubu or something. Okay, so we can get our gear down shortly. gear speed. Oh yeah, gear can come down. Okay. And we can go flap 15. Now we can go flap 30. And finally flap 40. We're going to arm our speed brake. There we go. And yeah, I've got the runway in sight. There it is. Now I could fly it manually. I should do, and in fact I think I'm going to. But the aircraft will now head to the right a bit to intercept the final approach course, which, there it goes. So my bad, it's going to do final approach course when it gets onto this segment here, because it's a dog leg. Right, so final checks, landing lights are on, contingency ignition on, speed, water brakes armed, and spoilers armed. Okay, so final approach course will come on any second now, but really I'm desperate to go manual. When you get onto the final approach track, that's when that will come on. I'm just going to switch it all off, sorry, I don't want to go manual. So, auto throttle off, autopilot off, click these two buttons here to stop the blaring horn. I'm going to match my throttle position here, where it was. There we go. And round we go. Round we go.
Terrain, pull up. 500.
So pretty much on profile. 3 whites, 1 red. 2 whites, 2 red, we're good. Speed is a bit low. Yep.
300.
There we go. We're good.
100.
150 over the threshold.
50. 30. 20.
Down to idle. There we go. Touchdown. Reverse is on. Okay, reverse is full reverse thrust. Manual braking. Switch to auto brake off. Can I make that turn off? I think probably I can. And round we go. Not sure that is an adequate taxiway for 737. Let's find out if it is. It's a simulator at the end of the day. Okay, so let's get the APU fired up. And then we'll do vital actions, as they're called, when we're off this. Yeah, it doesn't look like a taxiway suitable for 737s. But are we worried? No. I'm just going to put myself in front of John's office 8 in the morning. Clear on the left, clear on the right. There we go. Okay, so now we can do vital actions. So flaps can come up, spoilers can come in, APU starting up, transponder can go to on, and landing lights can come off, strobe light can come off, ignore continuous ignition can come off, generator can come on. Okay, so welcome to Queenstown. We'll just park up and then we'll shut down. So, RNAV into runway 05 Pretty straightforward. Just the first part's done on VNAV and LNAV, and when you start getting to the final approach mode can come on. You'll see that armed on the scoreboard here in your PFD. They'll be on white, and then when they're active they'll go from white to green. We didn't give it a chance to go into final approach course because, you know, I'm flying the aeroplane. I want to fly the aeroplane. I want to be in control of the aeroplane, and yeah, that really wasn't the right taxiway to take. Yeah, interesting. So we're going to go right here. Oops. So don't do as I do. Let's get a bit of differential throttle to help them those turn around. Back onto the active for a moment. Right, and we're clear on the left. Clear on the right. Back onto the active. Strobe light coming on. Okay, and just get the other side of this, hold the line, then we can switch the strobe lights off. So we're cleaned up, water breakers off, flaps are up, spoilers are in and retracted, transponder is on but not on Tara. We'll take that parking spot over there. It's very convenient. Right, strobe light can come off. Flight directors can come off as well, I guess. We don't want to blind the ground crew, although there's no ground crew there. It's good practice. There might be passengers in the departure lounge ahead of us. Okay, so it's going to cheat an external view. We haven't got a marshal helping us in. Okay, that'll do nicely. We get our parking brake on. APU gen's already on, so we just shut those down. Switch off the passenger signs. Go to the FMC. Go to FS actions, doors, extend the air stair, left door can come on, and then we can get the cargo doors open. We haven't got an air stair at the back. Beacon light should come off, and to signal, and the hydraulics can also come off. Okay, so there we go. Welcome to Queenstown. Déjà vu, we've been here before. Take care, see you soon, bye now.